my local recording here. And we're gonna start with boxes as usual. We're gonna begin with our boxes. We got three concealed killer cases because why not? Because I hate myself. May as well open the boxes and see what I get, shall we? Third case, well-worn Pink Strange. No, even then, like, the odds of getting that are so fucking tiny. It's like, I'm assuming, actually, I'm pretty sure that, the tier odds for TF2 items are similar to that of CSGO, where Mercenary is 80%, and then it cuts down by a factor of 5 each time, so it's like 80%, then 12%, then 4%, then like less than 1%, then like even smaller than 1%, something ridiculous like that. So we're gonna get 3 field-tested or worse blues. My guess is Backwoods Boomstick Shotgun, well-worn. No, we got a purple, field-tested, still hideous, and gift wrap for which to give it away. Awesome. Lovely. God, it looks so fucking chewed up for a field-tested too, man. Also, I gotta fucking get... Someone gave me a fucking minion loadout for Pyro, and I really don't know how to feel about that. Mixed emotions on the fucking minion thing, and they even gave me a fucking banana to use with it. It's so stupid. On the same note, I'm going to college this Monday and move out. Do you have any advice for living alone? Go hang out with people. It's gonna be rough if you're not exposing yourself to people, interacting with others. Just don't be a shut-in. You know, keep your place clean. You know, make sure you feed yourself properly. All that sort of thing. You'll be okay. Minimal wear forest fire. Factory new Backwoods Boomstick. I'll be damned. A whole 30 cents worth of items. That's awesome. And last but not least, fucking... Yeah, there you go. Field-tested Mask Mender. Perfect. There you go. That's minimal wear? Oh my god. I always forget how bad the wears are on these older skins. That's minimal wear. It looks horrible. Fuck me. Alright, there we go. There's your unboxing treats for today. Don't open cases. That's another fair indicator that you should never open fucking boxes, by the way. The keys are for payment. For some stuff I have for my videos. Are Coffin nail skins decent in field tested too? Yeah, they still look good in field tested because they're already pretty clean and simple skins, and they have that custom wear that makes them look like it's a smoked cigarette. So yeah, even higher wear Coffin nail skins look pretty cool. Like for example, I have... Where's this rare strange I have? It's somewhere on here. I always forget where I fucking keep these things. Oh god, my collection is fucked. Yeah, here we go. So, here is a well-worn, strange, you know, coffin nail minigun, and it doesn't look terrible. You see you have like these singes on the edges where it looks like it's a smoked cigarette, which is actually pretty cool. And also, what's special about this one and why I went out of my way to buy a well-worn coffin nail minigun is this one has a balloonicorn crest on it, which is very, very rare. So I was just scouring the market for any of them that happened to have a balloonicorn crest, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'll just see if there's one on the market, and lo and behold, I found it for like 80 cents, and I'm like, sure, I'll buy it. So, I got a cool, not really all that good-looking collector's thing. You know, it's got a little balloonicorn crest on it, and also someone gave me this one. This is field-tested, I think? Yeah, this is a field-tested sticky bomb launcher with the balloonicorn crest as well. Also a very rare find. Doesn't look too bad. So even higher wears on Coffin Nail look pretty sweet. And, lucky ass me, did a fucking 10% trade up last night, and I got a strange factory new Coffin Nail Scattergun, and I'm really happy with that, because I got a civilian grade for like dirt cheap, and I tossed it into a trade up, and boom. Out popped this bad boy. Permanent addition to my collection. Anyways, that's not why we're here. We're all here for the tier list. Let's get going with that, shall we? We don't care about that. We care about this. We've done Medic. We've done Spy. It is now a coin flip for the Engineer and the Scout. It's a coin flip for the Engineer and the Scout. Shall we see who we get? Let's do it. It's the Scout. All right, we're getting the Scout out of the way. Let's do it! Alright, tier list, we need Scout. Fantastic. I don't need help. I understand how these work just fine. Thank you very much. Alrighty then, we're doing Scout today. Music's a tad low. Bring you up a little bit. I think that should be good. Yep, that will do. Alright, let's do it! Engineer is going to be second to last. The class... No, I play the class, I just don't play it on stream. Just because I don't play something on stream doesn't mean I don't play the class.
Oh, Zesty doesn't play his class, so he can't talk about it.
Fuck you. I love how all of you are suggesting what I should do first, and I haven't even asked the question yet. Should we get the Sandman out of the way? Because we all know it's fucking terrible. Yeah, let's do that. The Sandman is just... It's honestly, like... So, let me put it this way. When I was thinking about what the worst item in the game is, it was a tie between the Sandman and the Gas Passer. And the only reason why the Gas Passer is worse than the Sandman is because you can make use of the Sandman's rather useless impact more often than you can the Gas Passers. It's the only reason why the Sandman is only, like, so tiny, itsy-bitsy, less bad than the Gas Passer, right? Because both are equally and hideously ineffective, right? Both of them suck cock, right? Both of them are barely functional and are in desperate need of a rework. They're absolutely terrible. But this thing is horrendous, okay? It's absolutely horrendous. It's easily, next to the Gas Passer, the worst fucking item in this video game. It doesn't work half the time. Its upside is pointless on a class like Scout, and it's just like, why would you ever use this thing in its current state in comparison to any of his other melee options, right? It is so hideously bad. So, I think I understand. So, it's asking why it's taking 15 health. I think I understand why they made it do that, okay? So I'm not taking this from the point of like the old version. I'm not thinking about this from the old version of the Sandman, right? The current version of the Sandman slows people down to the speed of stun, which is like slightly slower than a heavy, or it's around the speed of a heavy, I think, in terms of hammer units per second. And when you get hit by the ball, depending on how far the ball has traveled, that's how long you're moving at stunned speed. Right? What you're supposed to do with this item, at least this is my interpretation of it, is you're supposed to hit your target from medium, some kind of a distance where you're not within your effective range of your scattergun, right? You pop them with the ball, that slows them down, and then you use your heightened mobility to your advantage, close the distance faster on your now slower moving target, so you can get them with your scattergun. That's how I interpret that. And then I guess they decided as a drawback to the Scout's target now being less mobile, you have to take away some of his health in order for it to be a fair fight. That's how I've always seen this item, and especially now in its current balancing state. But the unfortunate thing about that is it doesn't really matter because Scout is so mobile in comparison to any of the other classes anyways, that extra bit of slowness on your target doesn't make that much of a difference, because not only do you have the fastest movement speed in the game, you can double or triple jump if you're using the fucking, you know, the Atomizer, right? So it's like, getting more mobility over your opponent is pointless when you're already the most mobile class in the game. So, there's that. Second, and I mentioned this with the Natasha, the stun effect is bugged. If you spam strafe, if you spam your AD and AD key over and over again, you're not going to get slowed down. And yeah, I know a lot of people probably are, well, not a lot of people know that that's a bug in the game, right? A lot of people don't know that that's a bug in the game. Well, I'm trying to spread the word so people know that it's fucking busted. You know? So there's that. Third, takes away 15 health on the class with already the lowest health pool in the game, who is so fucking squishy. Oh, why would you ever want to use this thing? It is so hideously bad. It's horrible. See, before they nerfed it into the floor, which it really did need, by the way. The Sandman desperately needed to be nerfed, because the way it worked before is that it completely removed your ability to shoot. You were hard stunned. You could only move around, assuming you didn't get hit by a moonshot, right? If you were hit by the maximum distance, you couldn't move at all. You couldn't defend yourself. You're just fucked, right? And on the previous version, if it was anything other than a moonshot, you could still move, but you couldn't shoot, which was fucked. You were left completely defenseless, and it was absolute ass to have to deal with. Because suddenly you're moving along, and all of a sudden someone Hail Marys a fucking baseball from across the map. I suddenly can't shoot now. Guess I'll die. It was honestly a stupid way to make an item in a fucking FPS game. It was cool in that it could be comboed with the Cleaver. That actually took a little bit of practice and skill to make use of, but since the class couldn't retaliate and shoot back, it made it hideously unfair to use that combo against somebody. Right? So that was an issue. So they removed the ability for the Cleaver to hit stunned targets, and they removed the Sandman's ability from stun to slow, which is still counted as stun, but not really. It's a weird way they changed it. But as it stands right now, it's just, again, one of the worst items in the game. It's really stupid. And what they need to do is they need to completely rework this thing so it does something different. I don't know what they could do to it. Mark for hit on death, but then that would completely invalidate using this thing. It would make the Fan of War useless because you could just immediately mark a target for death with a projectile and never make use of the Fan of War ever again, at the cost of 15 health. I don't think that's a good idea. Being able to mark someone for death from a distance.
But Sniper can do that, but Sniper is an entirely different can of worms.
But, originally it was way too overpowered, and now it's just way too bad. A thought that I've had is maybe they could find a way to turn this into some kind of a DM weapon. Scout already has 2 other projectile-based weapons. He has the Rap Assassin and he has the Cleaver. Maybe he could... Oh, God, I don't know. Maybe just make the baseball do, like, a chunk of damage or something. I'm not entirely sure what they could do to, like, make it interesting, but not just a clone of the Rap Assassin, right? I don't know. It's tricky to figure out, because if you're wanting to go for a projectile weapon that does a lot of damage, then you're just going to use this thing, because the base damage on the Cleaver is like, what, 60? It's really high. I think it is 60 anyway. TF2 Cleaver. I never fucking remember how much damage this thing does. 50, my bad, not 60. 50 damage on this thing. So yeah, if you wanted to do ranged damage with a projectile, you're gonna use this thing. You're gonna use this thing. I don't know what they could do to make it stand out and be interesting, you know? I'm not sure. It needs something, because it's just horrible. How about a stun lock effect on the ball, similar to the Scorch Shot, but with obs? No idea what that means, but with obviously out afterburn. I don't know. Thing is, I hate mechanics in the game that just kill momentum without some kind of skill involved in it, right? Scorch Shot, no skill. Ball, you're just lobbing a high-speed projectile at somebody, it stuns them, so I don't like that either. I don't know. I also don't like the idea of being able to mark someone for death from a very long distance, so I'm not a fan of that either. Balance mod made it more of a damage weapon. See, yeah, I'm still leaning more towards that category of making it more of a damage weapon than some kind of a utility where it fucks over your target's mobility. I don't like that. I don't like any item in the game that punishes a player for moving, like the Natasha, or the Sandman, or the Scorch Shot. I think it's all items like that are bullshit. I hate that. So, I don't know. Less damage on the bat, more damage on the ball. If that was the balance mod, yeah, I could see that working. Give this thing like a 50% damage penalty, but then put that damage into the ball. That could be interesting, potentially. But then again, it's just the Rap Assassin or the Cleaver, so I don't know. The Scorch stuns players. It kills all momentum and pops them into the air in the exact same way the old Air Blast did. It doesn't slow them down, but it locks them in place for a very brief period of time, which is asked to play with or play against because, you know, variety of reasons that I've outlined in multiple videos in the past that I don't need to re-explain here. So, I don't know. Sandman absolutely sucks cock. Oh god. Do something with it. I don't know. Horrible. Absolutely horrendous. Instead of slowing movement, what if it slowed firing rate? No, anything that suddenly changes your ability to attack, firing rate, or otherwise is completely broken. Imagine... And one very important thing about Team Fortress 2 is that the firing rates of all weapons in this game are hard fixed. They don't change. The only exception to that is the Dragon's Fury. But like I explained in that video, that change in firing rate is completely under the user's control. Suddenly having someone affect your damage output by using a specific item is bullshit. That's why I don't like the short circuit. That's why I don't like that idea, right? Where suddenly you can't shoot or do damage like you would normally be able to just because someone else used a different item. Bull fucking shit. I don't like that balancing mentality. Don't make it do that. So, I don't know. Needs to be fixed. Not sure. We all know it sucks. Everyone who plays this game knows it sucks cock. Make it do something different. Who knows what? Something else. Let's move on. What am I drinking? I have some tea here to soothe my throat. Scattergun? Yeah, I guess we can get the stock scattergun out of the way. Yeah, we can get stock scattergun out of the way. I mean, it's the stock scattergun, and I think what's interesting about the stock scattergun is a lot of people don't know that it's just a normal shotgun with a different damage ramp-up modifier, and that's it. This is just the stock shotgun, same firing rate. Or is it roughly, is it the same firing rate? Yeah, it's the same firing. I'm like replaying the firing rate in my head. Yeah, it just has higher damage ramp up to like over a certain, it's like 150% for normal stock shotguns. This one goes to like 190, something like that. TF2 damage, I don't remember the exact percentages. Now I have to look so I can reconfirm to myself what the actual numbers are. Give me those lovely, delicious curves, and not those kinds of curves. Yeah, base ramp up is 150, and then it's a modified ramp for the scattergun. So, 175%. Thank you. I could not remember. Yeah, it's 175% compared to the normal 150% for every other shotgun. Yes. So, yeah. And I mean, usually the scattergun is just, I mean, it's Scout's best option. That's what I've always firmly believed. It's just a good item. I don't really know how else to put that. You know, and what's something interesting too, I guess this could bring up an interesting argument for random bullet spread. I've been tweaking and playing with a video about random bullet spread for a little while, and a lot of people don't like random bullet spread because it makes your ability to do predictable damage a little less predictable. And I went into the game and I ran some tests on how often random bullet spread actually fucks over your damage, and surprise, surprise, the results are your damage is random via a Gaussian distribution. Who would have thought, right? Random bullet spread's actually random. But in terms of the amount of time it actually fucks you over, in terms of the amount of damage you should be normally doing within a very small range, it's not that often. It's like 1 out of 6 to 1 out of 8 shots you're getting completely fucked by random bullet spread at medium to long range. At close range, it doesn't happen nearly as often because, again, you have a closer area of impact with your projectile hit scan. Or not your projectile hit scan, Jesus. With your hit scan, so RBS doesn't fuck you over as much. The thing about Scout is that the Scout is has the highest mobility, right? He has the highest mobility. He can get in and out of fights very quickly. Random bullet spread is a very important balancing factor for this glass cannon of a class, because if you remove random bullet spread, it's just an inadvertent buff to the Scout, which is whoa. And thing is, yeah, random bullet spread is a balancing mechanic, especially for single-shot weapons like pistols, revolvers, the SMG, and the minigun. Could you imagine any of these weapons that don't have random bullet spread? Could you imagine any of these weapons with random bullet spread without random bullet spread? Firing perfectly accurate shots over and over again. Ooh, it'd be a little bit busted. People only make the argument to remove random bullet spread on shotguns, but none of these things because it's required for balance on these things, but for this, oh no, we can't have that. You know? The damage of these becomes more and more unpredictable at greater distance, as it should with the shotgun. It makes sense. Especially for balance. RBS makes Scout non-OP, but things like SMG, pistol, shotguns terrible at times, Just a bit unreliable, rather than, honestly, I cannot read what the fuck you are typing in that message. I see characters in there that aren't even English! But yeah, I largely agree with your sentiment. So. I want no random spread on pistols, but with increased damage flop? That's a horrible idea. Could you imagine perfectly accurate shots at any range and how easily spammable that would be? That would be so fucking broken, even with a higher damage ramp up, or higher damage fall off. That's horrible. No. No. Imagine perfectly accurate hit scan on every shot in a game like TF2. With skill ceilings as high as they get. No. Absolutely not. Horrible idea. They're not going to make a pistol do 1 damage at far range. No. Horrible idea. Weapons like this need random bullet spread for balance. Otherwise, they become hideously overpowered at long range and useless at far range. Not a good idea. Anyways, stock scattergun, I mean, it's largely fine. It's usually just your best option most of the time. So, apologies for the side tangent on random bullet spread, but more on that to come. Give Backscatter a fixed bullet spread? No, I don't know. No. It's so weird how the only exception to having random bullet spread is put on the panic attack, which is strange to me, whereas every other shotgun in the game doesn't have a fixed spread. I don't know why they really did that, because it just makes that an obviously better option in comparison to any other shotgun most of the time. So, a little weird that they would do that. Stock scattergun is the only scattergun without a clip size penalty. Yes. True. Also, Schweppels and Recapone subbed. Thanks, guys. You are too kind. You can negate the random spread on the pistol by pausing after every shot for 2 seconds. I thought it was like 1 1/4. Isn't it 1 1/4 seconds where it resets the accuracy? Or is that the revolver on Spy? I think. I'm not sure. But, anyway. Anyways, let's move on. Let's do... Oh god, what do we do next? Let's do... I don't know. I guess the backscatter, it's just... this is a temporary placement, relax. I don't know, I'm not sure where this is gonna go yet. The backscatter is, I guess, an interesting concept. It lets you do mini crits from behind at a clip size penalty of 1/3, and then you have, it's what, 20% less accurate? Something like that? And the problem with the backscatter is back hitboxes are incredibly janky, and you have to be like right in the meat of somebody and actually getting that back hitboxes to make use of it. And it just makes Scout's effective range that much more narrow, and you have 2 less shots for an upside that is very rarely realized unless you manage to completely sneak up behind somebody and get those mini crits. I feel like all of the downsides on this weapon don't balance out the one very situational upside where you actually manage to get in the meat behind someone's back to deal those mini crits. It's like, especially for Scout, whose range is already very limited with his scattergun because it's a shotgun, if you just want to be going for chip damage, why would you reduce that range even further with a wider spread? To me, that makes no sense. That's already a massive downside on your damage, right? And I guess the upside is that, oh, you're more powerful at close range because you can deal mini crits from behind. And yes, you're the most mobile class in the game that can, you know, loop around your target and get behind them and deal the mini crit. But at that point, 2 extra shots are a lot better than just having to jank yourself around and having to position yourself so you can get those back mini crits, you know? I'm not a fan of the way they've put this. But the problem is that even though you have these downsides with this weapon, it's still a scattergun. And every scattergun is still really good because it's a shotgun, right? So you can still be good at Scout and make use of the backscatter, and it's still not dog shit. It's just pretty much always less effective than the stock scattergun. And it's not B tier by any means. I think it's like, I'll leave it middle of the road, like bottom of C tier. I would consider, this is easily the, whenever I play TF2, this is easily the least used scattergun in the game. I rarely see people ever using this thing. I almost never see this thing in game. I think I've been killed by this thing once over the past year, maybe 2 years. No one ever uses this thing. Also, 100 bits from Regapon, thanks. Ignore the hype train bullshit. What's up, Coyote? Backscatter, in my honest opinion, is what the Scattergun should be at times. Fast flanks over obnoxious DM. Perhaps, yeah, perhaps it's a bit better of a balancing mentality for the Scout, but at this point in time, Scout's been the same way for so long that this is just hideously ineffective in comparison to his annoying, obnoxious DM. So I don't know. This is like, it hovers between bottom of C tier, upper D tier. I'm gonna leave it in C tier, but at the bottom only because it's a Scattergun and you can still be very effective with it. So we'll leave it there. Not saying it's like, oh, it's amazing, but you can still be good with the Backscatter and, you know, be an effective Scout despite its downsides and situational upside. So we'll leave it there. Babyface's Blaster Easy A. Here's the thing about the Babyface's Blaster. And here's, I always forget, does it have an accuracy penalty or upside? Because I know it has 4 shots, but I don't remember what they did to balance it out besides that. Oh, love, my internet page is not loading. Oh, internet's so slow. Oh, I pay $80 a month for my internet. Oh, nothing's loading. Oh, it's so good. Could have already figured it out faster by going into my fucking game and typing baby and seeing what the stats are on this thing. Ah, oh, fuck you, internet. 34% clip size penalty, 10% and then moves. So yeah, there's no spread penalties and there's no damage penalties. It's just a smaller clip size, but it's the exact same thing as your normal Scattergun. Okay, there. Figured it out. Easy. Oh, now the web page loads. Fuck you, AT&T. Fucking hate AT&T. There are no good ISPs. Every ISP sucks cock. No matter what you do, whenever you need your internet the most, you get absolutely fucked over. I fucking hate ISPs in America. Fucking suck. Anyway, moving on. Babyface's Blaster. There's a very general thought about Scout in that anything that increases the Scout's mobility is insanely good. The only exception to that is this thing. This thing is sometimes good and sometimes really bad because this thing punishes you for jumping, right? It still punishes you for jumping, correct? Yeah. You reduce when you air jump. So this thing punishes you for double jumping, which is what defines good Scout gameplay, is juking out your opponent, effectively never touching the ground and killing them when you're in the air, right? This punishes you for doing that, which is a pretty gnarly downside. I don't know, man. But the faster movement speed you get on this thing is crazy good. If you're much like a ground play Scout, like I am because I don't pump 9,000 hours into one class, this thing can be really fucking good. The speed, yeah, I agree. The speed is awesome on this thing. But if you get pinpricked or fucked, you can get fucked over by hit scan like that. If a heavy catches you in your sights for 2 seconds, you immediately lose that speed. Or if you get shot by one Scattergun or a pipe or a riot, you immediately lose half or all of that speed. You know, once you get up, it's like a more polarizing fucking Islander, right? It's very easy to get that movement speed, but it's also very, very easy to lose it, right? So you experience the highs and lows of this weapon far more often. I find that I experience the lows of this weapon far more often because you just die because you're moving 10% slower. But 10% slower on a Scout is still not that bad compared to how it used to be, where it started you off even slower. So, and yeah, I agree. Babyface's Blaster is still too easy to shut down. Just run heavy using any minigun, a sentry, a bit of splash from a well-placed rocket, and you immediately remove that faster damage, that faster speed that he has. And then at that point, you're cut out with two fewer shots and a slower base movement speed, and you're still punished for double jumping. So I would still gravitate back towards the stock Scattergun, right? But I still consider this thing better than this thing because this thing rewards skill more than situational nature. Because if you can place your shots well, juke out your targets well enough on the ground, and time double jumps when you need them, you can exploit that faster movement speed incredibly well. But is it like a whole bunch better than this thing? Not really, but it's still marginally more useful. And I consider it a tier above, but only by like this much. It's barely outside of C tier, because you can still be fairly good with it, but not as good as this, and it's better than this. Upside, the Babyface's blaster is less often realized than Backscatter IMO. I disagree, because it's very easy to deal any amount of damage with hit scan, right? A few well-placed mid-range shots, even with a pistol or something, and you are up there with your movement speed. Whereas with the Backscatter, you have to get really fucking close to somebody to actually make use of those mini-crits, because even at a distance, it's not that effective. How much damage to get back to normal scout speed? I honestly don't know how much it takes. I'm not sure. Not a lot. You need 100 damage to get the boost, and 25 damage removes it entirely. Is that how much it is? 25 damage and it's completely gone? Is that really how much it takes? Seriously? 100 damage to get max boost, and then only 25 to completely remove it. 25. Can someone I'm gonna see if I can confirm that. Let's see if it, let's just go to the fucking wiki page to actually see if it's actually 25. Wow, only 25. And it brings you down 4% for each damage. So 4% for each damage point, 25 damage to bring a meter back down, and 75% for each jump. So, if he jumps, you lose 75% of your built-up meter. Man, that is really punishing. But here's the thing. It needs to be that punishing. Perhaps 25 damage is a little too harsh. Maybe 30 or 40 is a good idea. But it needs that downside, because Scout is the most mobile class in the game. You're already moving at 133% movement speed. And an even faster Scout than that is a bitch to deal with unless you have a sentry helping you out, you know? It's just... Ah! Yeah. And see, I disagree. I don't think it needs a buff. I think the Babyface's blaster's in a perfectly fine spot. You can make use of it. You sacrifice double jumps for faster ground play, you know, which makes you more able to dodge things like projectiles, but hit scan fucks you over pretty hard. But again, yeah, if you get, what is it, 10% boost, you're back at normal scout speed? Yeah, so you have to get one well-placed shot, and you're already back up to how fast you would otherwise normally be moving, right? So, I do slightly agree that this thing could be considered underrated, but it's not as heavily good as some people would perhaps proclaim it to be. But it's still not that amazing in comparison to stock. I still consider it at the... Actually, no, I'm going to put it down here. We'll put it upper C tier. Upper C tier for Babyface's blaster. It's certainly better than the Backscatter, but it's just... It's middle of the road good. Its downsides are very harsh, but they need to be in order for the upsides to be well balanced out. I don't know. Here? No, actually I lied. I'm sticking with my guns on this one. We'll put it in lower B tier. Lower B tier is good. But you know, yeah, you bring up a good point. Waluigi Wa 101. Just because it's not as good as something else, it's still really fucking fun to use. It's so fun moving at fucking Mach 9, just fucking zipping around, just fucking blast. It's like, you fucking hit a sniper like a truck because you're moving as fast as a goddamn roadster. You run up into his ass and pop him with 2 shots, and then you're fucking out of there like it never fucking happened. I love doing that shit. That is so fun to do with the Babyface's blaster, right? But if you're trying to play, yeah, there you go, meta equals fun. If you're trying to play like your normal, you know, our sweaty tryhard stock scattergun, stock pistol, and Boston Basher for ubercharged faster rate, yes, you know, then you're not going to be able to do that. You have to play very, very differently with either the Backscatter or the Babyface's blaster. But they're fun. Alternative ways to play a class, and here's why I don't like playing Scout that much. It's boring. It's hideously boring. You're jumping and shooting and jumping and shooting. I need variety in my gameplay, and I thank God, I thank the devs that they put items like this in the game, as well as the Cleaver and the Rap Assassin and things like that, to give this class some variety, man. A little bit. Not talking like subclass thing, but just slightly different playstyles to fucking spice it up, man. Because after playing, I played Scout for 100 hours and I didn't touch him again. Because it's like, okay, well, I've mastered this, I have nothing else to try now. And it's like, okay, maybe I'll try other weapons now. And the Babyface's blaster is fun. Force of Nature is fun. I love using the Cleaver and the fucking Rap Assassin. You know? So this, fun, not as good as stock. Doesn't need to be tweaked. I think it's in an okay spot. Just because it's not as good as stock or not as good as the better options doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be rebalanced. So, yes. We're leaving it at that. You spent too much time on one weapon again. Still ass? Not as... You think it's like, it's not that ass, man. I disagree. It's not nearly as bad as fucking this thing. This thing sucks dick. What else sucks dick? This? Fucking sun on a stick? Oh, Christ. I mean... Okay, so there's two things with this weapon. It has a 25% damage penalty. You deal crits on burning targets. And then you have... I think it's also a 25% damage resistance to fire. I think is what it is. Sun... Do I not own a sun on a stick? I do, yeah. Yeah, 25% resistance to fire. So that removes 1 tick of afterburn, or 1 damage of afterburn per tick. So it's just not that useful unless you're experiencing direct flame damage. So it makes you a little bit more survivable. It makes you a little bit less squishy against pyros, but it's only when it's active. It's not passive. It's only when it's active when you get that fucking 25% resistance, right? Which is fucking brutal. You know, it's like, if it was a passive resistance, then you would probably see this thing get a lot more use. But the fact that it has to be out makes me just never want to fucking use this thing. And also, yeah, because we need more pyro counterplay. Exactly, yeah, that's something else too. So I'm pretty much never using this thing for the fire resistance. I'm only using it for the stupid gimmick of walking at someone who's on fire and smacking them to death. It's the only reason why I'm using this thing. I'm never using this for the damage resistance against fire. It's just really ineffective, right? It's hideously ineffective. Just swap the sun on the stick and the volcano fragment stats around? No. Being able to be the most mobile class in the game, setting someone on fire with 1 swing of a rapid fire melee item, and then getting out and then dealing even more high close range damage? No. Horrible idea to have this thing set people on fire. Bad idea. No. Also, yes, let's give other classes the ability to set people on fire. The only other class that can do that is the Heavy and the Soldier. Heavy on his fucking Hulong heater. Someone has to be right next to his fucking dick to do it. Or Cow Mangler with a charge shot. So... Also, yeah, you bring up a good point. If you just wanted to counter fire, you can use the Mad Milk. And also, Pyro's usually not that much of a problem for Scout, because Scout's mobility and effective range are really powerful against, like, your normal stock Pyro, right? It's so easy to juke out a Pyro as a Scout that you can still 2 or 3 shot him with no problem, and by the time he's dealt a decent enough damage to you, if you've missed that many shots, you deserve to die. So... yeah, Scout's already very powerful against Pyro, and giving him another upside to Pyro is a bit stupid, but the upside this thing gives is so hideously ineffective that it might as well never be there. So, why use it? And then the other upside of doing crits on burning target automatically require that you have to have a Pyro on your team that you're kind of actively coordinating with, or you have to follow him around so you can smack people who've been set on fire. And also, when are you ever attacking someone with your melee as Scout? If you're already that close, you're gonna do more than 3 times the amount of damage with your fucking Scattergun in 1 shot. Right? If you're already in melee range, you're gonna do fucking what, 110? With 1 shot? I always forget how much the fucking Scattergun does. It's like 110, something like that. 105, 105. My bad. You do 105 with this in 1 shot compared to 30 something, 35 with your base damage on normal bat. This thing does 25% less unless it's on fire. Why? No. You're only playing with this thing for like the gimmick of killing someone with the crits when they're on fire. That's it. Make it glare enemies while looking directly at them by popping in a crusty stutter shot glare JPEG on their screen. What? Valve designed the Scout to focus on using his scatter, hence why the melee does far less damage than other melee options. Yeah, so that still satisfies my point of why would you ever use a melee for its damage when you have the Scattergun, right? So, yeah, it's a meme strat. It's just a fucking meme strat. And this thing is so pitifully unuseful. Definitely more useful than Sandman, right? I think in the amount of times I've ever used this item, this thing has maybe saved my ass twice against Afterburn, right? And if a pyro's actively engaging me at his effective range, I'm just going to be trying to shoot him anyways, not going, fuck, 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 I'm going to live 25% longer against his direct flame damage and still die like that. No. Don't like it. Bad item. But the problem is, it's like, it's also not broken. And even though it's like really bad, does it need to be reworked? I don't know. It's still really bad, but it's like, it's not broken and it's not offensive. It's just not good. That's not really an argument to make it better. Because like, oh, just because it's not as good as these other melee options doesn't mean it's like, it needs to be reworked in any capacity, unlike this, which is just broken. So. No Afterburn on hit. Bad idea. No, I already explained why. Looking at it, they should just make it do more damage per swing, but swing slower and maybe keep the fire resistance. It's a mace. No, increasing Scout's melee damage is not a good idea, because it just gives him more high damage options at his effective range, and high mobility, making him harder to hit, and you're just being a harder heavy hitter with your fucking melee. Because for that, it's like a get out of jail free card. Imagine giving this thing higher base damage. If you fucking miss all your shots, well, don't gotta worry about that. Melee, and then kill your target anyway. No, not a good idea. His base damage on his melees should be low. Unless it has some seriously high kind of punishment like the Boston Basher does, right? The Boston Basher, temporary placement, relax. I know people get very upset, like, oh, why is it in B tier? Why is it in B tier? It should be low, it should be high. Relax. Don't know about the placement for this one yet. We're just talking about it. Gonna give it its correct position in a moment. Unlike this thing, which does let you deal more damage per swing because it has bleed, but if you fucking miss, you hit yourself and chew your health away. So, fair downside for this, you have to very much guarantee and secure a hit, otherwise you hit yourself and you die, right? Unless you got a medic in your ass, and then you can use that to build Uber, which is why this is like your normal comp strategy item, right? Because they're just gonna milk Uber with this thing on a hurt scout to build your Uber in exactly 40 seconds minimum. But then also, again, why are you ever using melee damage on Scout? That's why they use this thing in competitive so much. Their Scouts aren't going for melee damage, they're going for faster Uber building rate. And that's what makes this thing so good, is because you can juice out Uber insanely quickly. So, that's the main reason why people are using this thing. So. Boston is only useful for Uber building damage-wise. It's unreliable as fuck. Combat mentality overrates this thing so much. And yeah, I agree. And that's why I want to move this thing. I'm not going to keep it in B tier. In casual mode, right, it's far more chaotic and crazy that you're pretty much only ever using this thing as, like, your little gimmick strat. I'm going to fucking beat this guy to death and have him bleed. Oh, I'm going to miss twice and kill myself. Ah, funny, right? In competitive, they're only, again, using this thing to milk Uber. So, in, like, normal, regular Scout gameplay, it's not that great. It's certainly, like, you can still be fairly effective with it. It's, like, top of C tier, not bottom of C tier like this thing is. Top C tier, bottom C tier. But it's not like, oh, and of course, oh, here we go.
No, competitive players are gonna get mad. Oh, Zesty, you don't play competitive Scout, so you don't know how good this thing is. You have to understand that the Boston Basher is the best item for Scout because it makes medics build uber faster, and on the rare chance you have someone out by themselves, you can smack them with it and make them do some damage.
It's just not that amazing. It's good. It's not great, though. Yeah, it also gives, yeah, you can do that weird jump gimmick where you hit yourself and you can boost yourself up higher. So if you have max overheal, if you want to get yourself to a better spot, yeah, but if you don't, you're just hurting yourself for better positioning. And when you want better positioning with a melee, just give yourself a triple jump with this thing, right? Give yourself a triple jump with this thing or higher jumps with the winger. If you want mobility from a melee, use the Atomizer. Because triple jump on Scout is fucking amazing for that reason. And we come back to that argument that I posed earlier, that anything that gives Scout higher mobility is insanely good, right? And that's why this always beats out this thing in terms of mobility enhancement. Because a third jump is stupid good. And you can just whip this thing out, jump really quickly, and immediately put it away. Without having to worry about having to get to a health kit to prevent yourself from bleeding to death, right? Use this again instead of this for melee damage for mobility. Or for mobility, not melee damage. And yeah, Atomizer's okay in competitive apparently. If it is, why do I doubt that? Because anything that makes Scout way more mobile is like very much frowned upon. Like, no, you can't have that. Scout's already insanely powerful, letting him be able to move around more quickly. Actually, yeah, before, this thing let you triple jump by default without having to have it be active. Now it has to be active in order for you to perform the triple jump, which is actually a good thing because before it would only hurt you by a little. It would hurt you when you did that triple jump, but that's it. Now it doesn't hurt you, has a slower swing speed, but does a mini crit while you're airborne for some reason. But gives you the triple jump while it's out. So for people that can get better repositioning, it's good. And it used to be banned, aimbot. It used to be banned. I remember now. Because scouts weren't punished enough for using that triple jump. All they needed was a slight buff from their medic, and they could do that triple jump whenever they wanted and be fucking unkillable. Whereas now, they can effectively not attack when they want to use that triple jump, because melee attacks on scout are hideously ineffective. So now they gotta pull it out in order to have that increased mobility, and then they can go to town after they put it away. So, that's pretty good. We'll put it down here in B, actually. Certainly better than Babyface's blaster, but we'll put it in B tier. Atomizer and Winger doesn't work too well because of the slower deploy speed. You're better off using only one of two of those. I agree. Don't pair them together. I wholeheartedly agree. But the Atomizer is very good because it boosts Scout's mobility in a very balanced way, unlike how it used to be. Now Scout has to actually sacrifice something worthwhile in order to get that extra jump. But that sacrifice isn't so hideously bad or slow that it prevents it from ever being useful or usable. And it's very effective for people that want to be, you know, mobile. And I've seen people go crazy with this thing. I've seen people pair this with a fucking Force of Nature, and they never touch the ground. It's really fucking annoying to fight. So yeah, Atomizer's good. We do know a weapon that doesn't use that balance. Yeah, is it this thing? Is it the soda popper? Put it in A tier. Oh, why is it broken? Put it in A tier. This, I still don't like where this thing is, man. In the hands of, like, so there's a couple things about the fucking soda popper. There's two things I hear floating around about it, right? People say this thing has higher DPS than the stock Scattergun only on the first two shots because it's the same spread, same base damage, right? But it's you crank out 2 shots and then you gotta do a longer reload. Whereas with the stock Scattergun, you immediately have your 3rd shot ready and primed to go, right? But there's the mobility on this thing, right? The mobility on this thing is ridiculously good. And I think the soda popper is still banned in competitive. I'm pretty sure it is for that reason, because competitive level scouts are gods of aim, right? They never have to worry about dealing an inconsistent damage amount in order to build up the hype with this thing so you can get the extra jumps. And when a scout can never fucking touch the ground, that sucks dick to play against, right? That's awful. Horrible, even. Because he's just dancing around his target, doing the exact same damage as the stock Scattergun, with 2 rapid-fire shots being pumped into his target. Oh! It's brutal. Manny scolded his chat a couple days ago for insisting the soda popper was OP and insisted himself that it wasn't worth using. And see, I agree. And the only reason why it's not worth using over the stock Scattergun is because having 6 loaded shots at your disposal is always so much better instead of having to wait to build up enough damage to use that bonus and only have 2 shots loaded at a time. For me, I would still go for the stock Scattergun because it's just far more consistently reliable than the soda popper, right? That's why I like using this more than this. But this, in skilled hands, fucking sucks ass to play against. It's really good. But this is always going to be far more consistent, far more reliable, and you don't have to worry about dealing enough damage in order to use that hype. The soda popper stack with the Atomizer? I'm pretty sure it does. It still grants you that 1 extra jump, because this gives you like, what, 5? And then you can do a 6th with the Atomizer, I think. But would you ever really need that 6th jump unless you're doing stupid map gimmicks? It doesn't stack? It doesn't stack, okay. But it does stack with the winger, okay. So there's that. Would you say pre-nerf Babyface's blaster is better than Soda Popper? Absolutely, for sure. Scout's movement speed on that was ridiculously high. And it was funny how people complained about the old Babyface's blaster. People kept claiming that there was a bug where Scout was outrunning his hitboxes, and that was a total myth. That wasn't real. He was just moving so fast that people couldn't hit him normally. There was no hitbox bug, there never was. He was just moving too fast that people complained that, oh, I can't hit him. So. Yeah, Soda Popper and Winger combo is good because you have you have a stream of continuously higher jumps. So, I don't know. Do I want to give this A tier? I don't feel like I want to give the Soda Popper A tier because I just still find the stock Scattergun just so much better, man. You build it with hype in what? 4 or 5 well-placed shots? I don't remember how much damage it takes, but I don't know. Because the problem, yeah, I agree. I'm going to put it in high B tier. Because another downside with this is like, you still have to be relatively close to your target to be dealing the maximum amount of damage, and the more jumps you perform, you're still putting yourself at a further distance away from your target. You're doing less damage as a fall off and spread. You're still having to be right in the meat, so I would still, I don't know, man. Upper B, lower A. No, I'm gonna stick with my guns on this one too. I'll leave it at A. Bottom of A tier for the Soda Popper. We'll still leave it there. Yeah, it has really good burst damage in the first 2 shots, but if you're going for the burst damage, I like the Force of Nature. Force of Nature's fun. I love using the Force of Nature, man. I have the most fun playing Scout when I'm using the Force of Nature, because I just love fucking annihilating people with this, man. Because like, a lot of people forget that the Soda Popper and the Force of Nature have that faster firing speed. So those 2 consecutive rapid fire shots do insanely good burst damage. But people forget that first rapid fire shot on the Force of Nature stuns your target, and then you do the quick follow up with the second one, and they're fucking dead. If you delay your 2 shots with the Force of Nature, you're only gimping yourself, right? You have to do the quick 1-2 with this. You stun, you kill. And you're fucking knocking people around. Oh man, I love using this thing. I will never, ever get tired of waiting by a cliff and blasting someone in the fucking nuts and sending them careening off a cliff. It is so fucking fun.
Why'd you put Backscatter in C tier when stock was Criticola or Fan of War is literally Backscatter but better?
It's in C tier because it's bad. It's like the worst Scattergun option, but it's still good. And this still supports your argument there because all of these are better, and even better when you use this thing. So yeah, it's the lowest rated of the Scatterguns for a reason. It's not nearly as good as any other options. Anyway, Force of Nature, fucking fun. Also, at medium to close range, it's going to consistently do more damage than the stock Scattergun, because it's got more pellets with a slight damage penalty. No, I didn't put it in D, it's in C. So, fun fact about the bullets on this thing. Here's something interesting about Scout, about this item. So, listen to this. I don't know if many of you are familiar with how bullet spread works on this item. Where's my fucking MS Paint? So, your normal configuration of bullet spread is like this, right? Where's my fucking pencil? I need a brush. This, black. Your normal configuration looks like this. It's a 3x3 grid that looks like this, right? And it widens with distance. You have 10 pellets, right? You have 10 pellets, and the one in the center is always perfectly accurate. Bullet spread on or off. If random bullet spread is on, the other 9 pellets are random in distribution. The 10th pellet is always in the center and always 100% accurate. And that goes for any shotgun and any scattergun, okay? Now, the Force of Nature has what? Yeah, was it 20% more pellets? So it has 12 pellets. That translates into 20%, I think. It has 12 pellets, which translates into force. Fuck me. Whatever. No, it's a 3x3, so it's 3x3, but there's 2 pellets stacked in the center. There's 2 pellets in the center that overlap each other. The 9th and 10th pellet are over each other in the center, but it's still a 3x3 grid. The 10th pellet's in the center too. That's how it's oriented, okay? Okay, but with the Force of Nature, because it has 12 pellets instead of 10, the configuration looks like this. It's exactly the same, but you have 3 pellets in the center, and you have 2 pellets, or is it 2? It's not left, it's right of center. And you have 2 pellets to the right of center. So when random bullet spread is off, these 3 center pellets are always perfectly accurate. And then you have these 2 out here on the side. So if you're at close to point blank range or like close medium range, you will always consistently do more damage than the stock scattergun. But there's 2 caveats to that, right? The Force of Nature pushes your target away. And when you're pushing your target away, you're fucking yourself over because of spread and damage fall off. So if you're not quick enough to follow up with that second shot, you're not making the most use out of that damage bonus that you get from those extra pellets, right? And then when random bullet spread is on, you still have those 3 pellets. You still only have 1 pellet that's perfectly accurate in the center. That's how it works. So, Force of Nature is very fun, but you gotta be careful. You gotta remember that you're knocking your target further away from you. So you gotta really gauge when you wanna fire off and volley off that next shot so you can secure that kill. And when you do that, this thing is super fucking fun. Love this weapon. It's so hideously underrated. I know competitive players like to bitch and moan about it, like, oh, it pushes your target away from you, and you only have 2 shots, and you do less damage at further range, and wow. It's like, no, this thing's fucking fun. I've seen people go fucking bananas with this thing. Use it more often. It's fun. Also, what the fuck is happening? Okay, are these bots? Oh, fuck me. Is this happening again? God damn it. Oh, fuck me. Hold on. I need to make sure my chat's in the right mode so people can't fucking start spamming shit in here. Hold on. Wait, was I rated? Oh, was I rated? Oh, okay. Thank God. I thought someone was fucking doing bots again. I was gonna be really pissed off. Okay, thank you. Hi. Who did that? Samwiz, hi. 67. What's up, man? Thanks. Dude, I am so fucking paranoid about that shit now because listen, it's amazing how quickly bridges are burned and how enemies are made because one shit kicker kid makes a YouTube video about you. It's nuts how quickly people want to see your head on a fucking pike. So I'm fucking paranoid. It's nuts. So you gotta be careful. But thank you for the raid nonetheless. I appreciate it, man. I've seen you do other YouTube-y Twitch stuff. I need to actually see what you do. I've heard your name floating around before, but I don't know what you do. I apologize, but I will do some investigation later. Anyway, Force of Nature, good item, use it. It's fun. Fuck people who say it's bad. It's fun. It's awesome. I love the Force of Nature. It's great. No, yes, clearly a bunch of bots. Nothing to see here. Oh, Christ. Are we rating represent how good they are or how fun they are or both? Both. Both. It's always been both. It's always been both. It's like, listen. Going into these tier lists, I wanted people to understand that I'm not doing this in some sort of extremely rigid, strict way, right? I'm not doing this to say, this is objectively the best and this is objectively the worst. These are just my opinions on how I experience each of these items in the game. It's gonna be a mix of how effective they are and how fun they are. It's not gonna be just one or the other. I'm not going about this through some hardcore competitive mindset, this is the best and only good option. No. This is how I like the items. This is how I experience them. Are they fun? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they not? You know, it just depends. For me, Force of Nature's awesome. I love using it, and it's good. The damage is good. The little bits of boosts of mobility it gives you are good. That's why I like it. That's why it's A tier. Fuck you. It's better. It's more fun and better than the soda popper. I have more fun with this thing than the soda popper. You get to see its upsides and downsides more often than you do with the soda popper, and I like using it. Fan is fun. How is Scattergun not an S tier? See, look, listen. This isn't S tier. Pay very close attention. This is the broken category because it's so good that it's broken. Like, it's overpowered. It doesn't need a nerf. Like, this is the tier where you want to be. This is where you want to be. This is the good. This is the golden target area. This is good. And stock Scattergun is the best Scattergun. I don't deny that. It's easily the best one. The most consistent, but I have the most fun with the Force of Nature. Easy, easy, easy. Loads of fun. Thoughts on Guillotine? Let's do the Guillotine. I really enjoy the Guillotine. For me, I find that your normal Scattergun, pistol, whatever melee scout, that gets really dry and boring for me. I'm sure many of you know I much prefer playing the projectile classes in this game. And giving a projectile to the normal hit scan class really makes me want to play this class more. And this item is not only good, but it's really fucking fun to use, man. I just like, ooh, getting a good fucking chuck with this thing on somebody and following up with a scattergun shot. Oh man, it's better than a fucking bucket of fried chicken just dumping that shit on your face. It is so fun using this thing, right? I love this item. It is so fun. I just lost my train of thought trying to describe why I love this thing. Yeah, and it's so fun because you can spam it, and you just got a fucking Hail Mary Cleaver on somebody. That's 50 damage, up to 90 with bleed on the after effects of it. And, oh, it's just, and the recharge is really fast, you know? The most recent version of it, I think, is very good because they tweaked it so it doesn't mini crit, or was it crit stunned targets, which I think was perfectly necessary because it was still a fairly high damage item, and now it's in a perfect spot in that it can be combined, you know, with stunning options. Where it's at now is awesome. This is easily my most used secondary on Scout because it's just great, right? The quick recharge on it is great, right? Because you get to use it fairly often, and sacrificing your other hit scan item is not nearly as bad because of how quickly it recharges. It's a lot of fun. Put it in A tier? Yeah, fuck you. I'm putting it in A tier. It's really good. And what's also fun about this item is like you can immediately because you know where people are gonna go, and you're just gonna fucking chuck it down a choke, and you know it's gonna hit somebody. They're gonna get fucking smacked by it. You know. And wasn't it banned in fucking competitive for that reason? Because scouts could just chuck the cleaver down a choke where people know it's gonna go, and they're gonna hit the med, and that's 90 damage on the med, and one follow-up shot, and it's fucking curtains for the med. Don't they hate this thing for that reason? It's allowed in Highlander, which I guess make more sense because it's basically, you know, diet casual games. But this thing is good. It's really good. I love using it. Oh, it's like, am I gonna go for another kind of boring hit scan secondary, or am I gonna throw a giant fucking knife at people? I'm gonna use this. It's awesome. What style do I prefer on the cleaver? I don't know if style? Are there styles on this? Like cosmetic styles? There are. Well, I can't see what they are. Oh, it's edgy and then edgier. I don't really care. Where's my strange one? I have a strange one. There we go. Yeah, I don't really care what the style is. It doesn't make a difference for me. It's functionally the same, and I don't really pay attention to how it looks. Cleaver's good. Fun item. I would consider the Cleaver a slight upgrade, if not an equal side grade to just the stock pistol, because of how effective it can be, right? You gotta get good with it at, you know, aiming a projectile as Scout, you know, a very mobile class, and aiming a projectile as a very mobile class, right, can be a challenge. But once you get good with it, this thing is, wow, oh, it's fun. I love this shit. It's good shit, man. Good shit. Do stock pistol? I'll do stock pistol. The stock pistol is also just, I don't know. I'll leave it an A tier. I'll put it, it hovers here. Stock pistols is just your bread and butter, good, classic follow-up damage when either you whiff all your fucking shots and your target is still alive. So it's like, fuck, I just gotta use my pistol now. Or you get caught out without loaded shots and then you can pepper down somebody that you want to finish off. Or doing really good chip damage from a distance, right? If you got a fucking sentry gun you want to chip at, pistol it. Does full base damage, and it's really good against stationary sentry targets or buildings or what have you. It's just really good. It's just the classic combo item with effectively any scattergun. It's just very good. Easily, like, the second best, if not on par with the best option. That is the Cleaver for a secondary option for Scout. It's very good. Critical is secret meta. I don't know, man. Critical is kind of underwhelming. Stock pistols B tier because it's either oh shit, out of ammo, or wow, that's sentry. I don't know. I disagree. I think you could. It's pretty. Do I want to put it at bottom? No, I'll keep it here. I'm sticking with my guns on this one. I'm sticking with my guns on this one because it's just solid, classic, reliable damage. You know what it's gonna do all the time, and it's reliable. It's just you go for this. Just the classic. It's good shit. Pretty Boy's pocket pistol. This thing used to be kind of bad, right? They changed this thing so much. I don't remember what this thing used to do. Like, when they first added it into the game, I don't remember what its stats were. But then I know they changed it to health on hit, but its firing rate was either the same firing rate or slower, so you were getting health back very slowly. Oh, that's right. It negated fall damage, which is kind of strange. Yeah, it gave you more max HP. Yeah, that's why they changed it. Okay. I don't know, man. This thing is interesting because it's simultaneously the worst and simultaneously the best pistol option for Scout. The faster firing rate gives you a higher burst of DPS, which is really good if you want to finish somebody off quickly. But I just don't really feel like I'm gonna be using this thing that often to get my health back, right? Because if you're already engaged in some kind of a close range fight and you're whipping out your pistol in order to get like a pittance of health back, especially against like a high damage class like a soldier or a demo who's gonna finish you off in 2 shots anyways, that extra health back, it's not really gonna save you, right? You're only trying to get that health back if you're chipping at someone from a distance, but if you're doing that, then just run away and get to a health kit, you know? I've only ever used this thing for that higher burst of damage to like pick somebody off, right? But beyond that, it's like I just don't feel like that health back on hit is all that useful. And especially when I'm like, and also when I notice, whenever I'm fighting a scout that's using this thing with any other primary weapon, I'm still effectively able to kill him just as easily with anything. It's like it doesn't really help that much, right? And I still almost never see people use this thing. I haven't seen this thing in a game in months, which is strange. Because it's not like it's bad, it's still very good. The health back on hit, if you manage to land all your shots, is very good. It's gonna save you in some niche situations, right? The higher burst damage on, was it 9 shots per clip instead of 12, is pretty good, but it's still, to me, it's like I still would much prefer to rely on the stock pistol or the cleaver for just more damage and then use my mobility to get out and get to a health kit anyway. So it's like, why would I still, here's the thing too, is like, why would I risk staying in a fight that I know I'm going to lose because I have low health to whip out a weapon whose health back on hit not only relies on my aim, but random bullet spread as well to secure my ability to survive? I just don't like that. I don't like that at all. It's too inconsistent with the health you get back unless you're like really close to somebody. And then again, if you're already close to that somebody, you're probably better off using your fucking scattergun anyway to kill them faster and take that risk over getting just barely enough health back to get out. So it's like, it suffers from the similar issue of the backscatter, right? If you're already that close to your target, to make benefits of its upsides, just go back to the default option that is stock to do more damage because you have a higher clip size, normal spreading rate, and to me, it's just not optimal, right? And the gimmick to me, I don't have much fun using this thing either. It's like, okay, I'm low on health. It's gonna vomit out some bullets, you know? But it's still good. I've seen people play with this thing. People, you know, get that, like, get the clutch health, yes! And they survive with, like, you know, 17 health instead of 3, or what have you. Instead of, and then they just fucking zip on out of there. But I just don't use this thing that much. It's good, but not amazing. I would still consider the Atomizer more useful and more fun than the Babyface's blaster, I would say. All your other tier lists seem to be focused on objective strength, putting Cleaver and Soda Poppers. No, not really. All my tier lists have also focused on fun. Especially so. Like, here's the thing. When I did my heavy tier list, it's like fucking, what's his face? Big Joey immediately went in and like, reviewed it and immediately put Hulong Heater, like, at the bottom of the list. Like, he considers that the worst fucking, you know, he considers that the worst minigun because of the faster ammo consumption and the fact that your target has to be on fire to get that bonus damage, right? Whereas you have either the stock minigun or the Tommy Slav being consistently more reliable, and also the Brass Beast being a lot more reliable as well. But the Hulong Heater, for me, is just so fucking fun. I love using that thing. Getting inside of people's fucking face and just melting them with your firing and mowing them down with your fucking minigun damage. Oh, it's so fun. I love using the Hulong Heater. And you can still be very effective with it, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, it just becomes a very subjective back and forth sort of thing. And while I do take fun factor into account, I try to balance as much as I can with, you know, objective functionality factor, right? And that's why I always put warning, fucking opinion at the beginning of each of these tier lists, because everyone experiences these weapons differently. Everyone considers different weapons to be better or worse than others, right? My fucking opinion on a video game item is not gonna be the same as everyone else's. You know? I'm taking fun into account here because guess what I do? We're taking away the pop filter. We're bringing this up a little bit. Guess what I do for this video game? I play to have fun. I don't play to get good. I play to have fun. Putting this back now. So, where was I? Yes. This is less fun than this, still effective, but, you know, eh. Moving on, shall we? Oh, let's get the stock bat out of the way. Okay, so, I mean, it's stock melee damage. You're doing 35 per swing. Crits on this thing are dumb, sure. But, I mean, if you want to go for, like, effectiveness factor, this is more useful and this is more useful. But it's not like it's horrible, because, again, like I was mentioning earlier, how often are you going for, you know, melee damage on Scout, right? Listen. Listen, do I need to say it again? This is like the 4th or 5th time I have to say it. The initial position of the item is not the final position. It's temporary as I talk about it for a minute and formulate the final position in my head. Just because I plopped it in C tier doesn't automatically mean, oh, it's C tier, he's wrong. Just give me a fucking minute. Give me a fucking minute to explain myself here. Give me a moment. It's like the fucking knee-jerk C tier. And people lose their fucking minds. Give me a moment. Stock bat. Very underwhelming in comparison to most of his other melee options in terms of usability and utility. You want to be a moron? You want to go around and fucking beat people to death with your fucking bat or your fucking fish or what have you? This is fun to do that. But if you're actively going out of your way to either use your melee for damage or to use your melee for some kind of utility, this thing doesn't have either of those options. It's not nearly as good as this thing or this thing for utility or damage. So it fails in both of those departments, right? So it's like, but it's still, to me, better than the fucking sun on a stick, because the sun on a stick's upsides are just so hideously situational, why would you ever use it? So for me, it's like I would still prefer the normal damage of the stock bat with random crits and just to beat the fuck out of people instead of this dumb gimmick item, right? So this is, but here's the thing, it's like, is it bad? Is it bad? I don't want to consider this bad. It's not the Sandman or the Sun on a Stake. That's like the best argument I could give. But it's like, no, fuck you. It's like low C tier. It's like, it's not bad. It's stock melee. Can stock melee be bad? Right? I've put others in D tier before, but it doesn't mean that they're horrible. I don't know. I'll leave it at bottom of C tier for now. It's average. Yes, thank you. It's not bad, it's average. It's bottom of C tier. We'll leave it there. Bat is equivalent to a glass of water. Yeah, it's just a fucking glass of water. We'll leave it in C tier. Better damage dealing options, better utility options. Stock bat has neither. Normal base damage, normal crits. It's just your vanilla. It's your fucking vanilla ice cream. We're gonna want you in the mood for some vanilla. You just fucking beat the shit out of people with it. Put stock. Oh, I put the stock shovel in E tier. That's because every other melee, literally any other melee option on Soldier, all of them are better than the stock shovel. That's why. And it's not fun using the stock shovel on Soldier because you're slow and you whip it out. It's like, well, I guess I'm standing here with this thing now and I don't really know what to do. It's like, have you seen that? It's like the fucking I don't know what to do with my hands thing. Whenever I see a soldier walking around with just the stock shovel out, that's immediately what I think of. I don't know what to do with my hands because he's just standing like a stock shovel. It's like, what do I do? What do I do? You know, that's why it's like the lowest stock melee option out of any of the classes. I think I may have put the stock fire axe also comparably as low for that reason, because you're whipping out the stock fire axe. It's like, well, what do I do? It's like, it's my first time here. What do I do? Do I attack? Do I run? I don't know. I'm out of ammo. I'm scared. I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. And then, yeah, that's why. That's why they're so low. You use stock shovel for being friendly. I guess, yeah. But like the sign of being friendly is taking out a melee, right? I don't want to attack you. I have the melee. Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared. Oh, it's so good. Please, I would pay money to see someone draw the fucking stock soldier that way, or like the stock pilot, just like default, no cosmetics, holding the stock melee item. Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared. Oh my god. That's yes. Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared. Oh, I love that shit. Why is the Sandman in broken tier? Because it's actually broken and is just one of the worst items in the game. I explained why earlier, and I don't want to do it all over again. We haven't touched the drinks yet. We haven't touched the fucking drinks. Bonk. Okay, I'm putting Bonk in D tier. So, the original Bonk Atomic Punch, yeah, it didn't really have any strong downside before because you just had invincibility but you weren't really punished after using it. Right? You could still move at your normal speed after the effects wore off, and you could get behind enemy lines fairly easily and then be completely mobile and fine afterwards. And then they nerfed it to where you're slowed down based off of how much damage you take while invincible, and then you're slowed down by that amount after the effects wear off. Right? But its primary use is still there. It still lets you get behind enemy lines in the exact same way. The only difference is now you're slow for a little while after the effects wear off, and it just made it that much worse when it was never used that often anyway, right? People were really only ever using the bonk as a gimmick in like your normal casual game. People would just fucking suck that shit down. They'd go puppy guard a fucking an enemy sentry gun and have it shoot the enemy engineer. and kill them that way and then taunt and then go about their merry way, or go for like a fucking taunt kill while they're invincible. That's also funny and fun. I'm still kind of convinced that this was one of the items that also got nerfed because competitive players complained about it, because it let Scout get behind enemy lines completely unabated, unpunished, to then wreak havoc on whoever was there with his normal movement speed and normal damage output, right? So that's why this got destroyed, and in casual games, it didn't really make a difference. People still kind of use it, and it still has the same outcome. If people know the Scout is behind you, he's gonna die, regardless if he's moving slower or not. So ultimately, the nerf didn't really change it, and ultimately it was never that good in any competitive format because of the amount of communication going on. People know that the Scout's gonna be there, so they're gonna go kill him anyway. So why nerf it? You know? And even then, the nerf isn't like that terrible, but it's like I would still prefer to use kind of anything else to be a fun Scout with a different melee. Like, I'm only ever going to use this thing for the reason I described before. I'm going to drink the soda, I'm going to go hug a sentry, and try to get it to shoot the enemy engineer. This is the only time I'm ever using the Bonk Atomic Punch, is to somehow manage to pull that off, because that shit is fun. Or I'm going for a taunt kill while invincible. Can you still do that, or did they make it so you can't have a melee out when you have this? I don't know. If I managed to draw that soldier in time, would you add that to your video? Absolutely. Fuck yes, I would do that. Yeah, it's better for running away than going in, and that was the next thing I was going to mention. It's a much better get out of jail free card, right? Like, if you're at low health, you're fucked, you got like 5 or 6 people coming after you, you fucking slick that shit down, you get out of jail for fucking free, you can't die, you zip away to safety, right? Unless you have something like a sentry gun or a pyro that's keeping you in place, you pretty much get out all the time. You're free, you're out of there. Yeah, and I agree, it's a much better escape weapon than it is an infiltration weapon. But it's like, at that point, if you're already that low at health, I may as well just go down guns blazing and just fuck it. Try to take someone with me if I'm gonna die, and not chicken out and sip a soda and live, you know? I find this far less fun than any of these other ones, really, so. And its effects, yeah, it saves your ass, but I don't know, it's not fun for me, and it's not that effective in any scene of the game, you know? Just, It's great to take out bots with the taunt. Yeah, it's fun fucking around. As a distraction. Yeah, it's a good distraction, but again, if people know you're there, it's like you're gonna die. So you're sacrificing yourself to be a distraction. Is it worth it? Is it fun? I guess you can make the argument. So, I don't know. And yeah, and then like this would save you more, right? Like you would still be doing damage and maybe getting some health back to get out alive, right? So I would still much prefer using this as like a quicker escape sort of thing, right? Situationally fun. Yes, situationally fun. Just, yeah. Yeah, suicide plays. You're sacrificing yourself for some form of a greater good, but that good is never as good as other things, in my opinion. Yeah. Underwhelming, has its place, but it's fine. You don't need to change it. It pretty much has always done the same shit since it was added to the game. It's fine. It's a classic TF2 item. The fucking bonked Scout dicking around, beating the shit out of people, or getting behind enemy lines, getting fucking shoved up into a corner by a sentry gun. That's always fucking funny to see a Scout fucking just nudged up there. He can't fucking move. It's like, oh, I just gotta fucking die now. That's always funny to see. But it's just, it's fine. It's always had its spot in the game. Always had its spot. It's fine. Why are you guys obsessed with me talking about the Mad Milk? I don't know why you guys, like, this is the most requested one I've seen so far. You guys really want me to talk about this. Is it because you want to make cum jokes? Get it out of your system now. Do it now, before I ban the word. Do it now. You have 15 seconds to make all of the cum jokes you want. And then the next person I see say cum gets banned. Do it now. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, giving a slightly longer pause because of stream delay. Now, shut up. The next person I see say come gets banned. Don't do it. I will do it. Don't tempt me. Is it out of your system now? Have you worked it out? Have your primal urges to talk about fucking semen gotten out of your system? Are we good? We can move on now. Mad Milk. It's pretty good. Mad Milk's pretty good. Health back on hit, on demand, is a very powerful mechanic. And this item does it infinitely better than the Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol. Because you rely on your Scattergun's damage, which scales with how much damage you do with the amount of health you get back, rather than this is just a flat amount of damage per shot. I would much rather rely on this to get health back, and also have my team get health back on hit, rather than being more selfish and having to rely on random bullet spread to get health back on hit with this thing. This item for health back on hit is always going to perform better than this thing, and I'm going to much prefer to use this more often. Also, I forgot a couple things. Agent Maxwell subbed, thank you. BM7001 also subscribed, thank you. This item is very good. I'm going to put it down here. It's more effective than it is fun. But it's like honestly one of Scout's best items, because again, health back on hit is an insanely powerful mechanic, especially on the most mobile class in the game. It's very, very good. And only sacrificing your pistol is like, wow, it's very strong. So it's easily one of Scout's best items, and it's like, again, why would you ever use this when this exists? It's also meta, it's meta in MVM because again, health back on hit, and you're slowing down, you know, fast Scouts, which is good. So it's just, that's good. It's just, that's, what else do I say? It's a good item. You think it's broken? I don't know if it's broken. It's not, I consider it not broken because it still requires you to aim in order to get health back. And if you're not close enough, it's not going to help you. If you're not good at aiming, if you're not good at landing your shots, and there are so many variables that affect hit scan hit registry in TF2 that I feel like that isn't in overpowered territory. It's certainly very good, right? But you could still make an argument that you could prefer juicing out a little bit more damage rather than extending your longevity in a fight, right? You can still make the argument for swapping either of these things, right? So, but this is still, I'll nudge it to be a little bit higher than the stock pistol because this is just so good. And again, you're helping your team. Oh, it's very good. But I still have more fun using, you know, a pistol or a cleaver in comparison, but it's still up here. I'm going to bump you, actually. Force of Nature is up here. So, a little bit of a longer cooldown. I could see that. Yeah, maybe give it a longer cooldown so you can't use it as often. That might nudge it to be in a little bit more of a stable spot, perhaps. But I've never experienced any problems with this thing. Whenever I come across someone using this in game, I never feel cheated. I never feel like it's against or it's unfair, right? Because you're sacrificing a damage-dealing melee for a janky throwable projectile that's also fairly easy to miss. And if you fucking miss it, it does nothing, and you're out of a secondary option for however long, you know. So and you gotta wait for it to recharge. But then if you do manage to land it, then you have to follow up with damage on for yourself to get health back, you know. And if you're already at low health, by the time you throw it and swap to your scattergun and try to get that health back, you're probably gonna die. It's only really effective when you throw it prematurely to get milk on them first before you engage in a fight to better secure that you're gonna win it, right? But even then, it's like, you fuck up the throw, it does nothing. So, I don't know, but it's still very, very good. People also really want me to talk about the shortstop. I'll save my second favorite item for on Scout for last. This is my second favorite one. I'll talk about this last because I really like the shortstop. I'm gonna save it. We're not talking about that one yet. Winger. Winger is in the same category as the Atomizer in that anything that increases Scout's mobility without any sort of negative, serious detriment is insanely good. Higher jumps on Scout let him get into positions where he normally couldn't get to. Third extra jump on Scout lets him get into positions that you wouldn't otherwise normally be able to get to. But you sacrifice decent damage for higher mobility. Whereas with this thing, you don't really sacrifice anything for higher mobility. That's why if you want better mobility, you're pretty much always going to want to use this thing instead of this. Because you can still get better mobility and retain damage or team assistance instead of sacrificing either of those things for only 5 damage per clip, 5 shots per clip, and 15% higher jumps, something like that, right? It's still your stock pistol, but it's only 5 shots. You're having to reload more often. It's very much a desperate move to whip out the winger and try to get a kill with only 5 shots, right? You're only going to be able to do that when you know you can secure that fucking kill because you've pumped in 3 scattergun shots. You whiffed a couple of them, but still dealt a slightly enough damage where you can follow up and then pop someone, yeah? So, does this thing have a damage bonus? I don't remember this thing having a damage bonus. It doesn't have a, oh, it does have a 50, it's 50% damage on hit scan, so what is that, 50% of 12? I can do the math in my head. It's, in comparison to the fucking stock scattergun, it's like, what, 9 damage per shot? In comparison to this, it's like, what, 11? Something like that? Base damage is 17, max fall off is 10. Yeah, because base damage on the pistol is 15. There's only 2 extra damage per hit. I need to convince myself that this thing is not nearly as good as I remember it. Hold on. Yeah, it's only 2 extra damage per shot. 17%. That 50% doesn't amount to much. So it's only 10 extra damage at base damage range. So it's not that impactful. I still see this thing being used more often for mobility than some kind of quick damage output, right? Because right, you still have what? Max ramp up with your stock pistol. It goes from 15 damage to what, 24? 22? 22 versus 27? It's still like, yeah, I still always consider this more as a mobility tool rather than some kind of rapid fire damage output thing. Because if you're going for the rapid fire damage output thing, you're going to use the Babyface's box because you get 9 shots with normal damage and a faster firing rate instead of this. The damage bonus does help a little bit if you're needing to whip it out in that last-ditch desperate move to bring down whoever it is you're attacking, so there is that. But I always feel like people are using this for the damage, for the increased mobility, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, I guess it is useful for longer distance. Useful for longer distance, you want to pick off a sentry gun a little bit more quickly. 17 damage in comparison to 15 is still not amazing, right? Again, I just don't feel like you're using this for damage. You know, you're still probably gonna be consistently doing less damage with this than you would the stock pistol, or even the Babyface's blaster, right? You're not using this for damage. It's a desperate move to use this to kill somebody, right? Or to finish somebody off. If you're going for damage, these 2 pistols will always outperform this, even with the damage bonus this thing has. Period. Right? But extra mobility on Scout with damage is better than just higher damage with some health back. But do I have more fun? I don't know. I think I have an equal amount of fun with either of these pistols, roughly. I like how almost all of Scout's mobility weapons are in B tier. Oh, that's just how it is. It's like, here's the thing. A more mobile Scout is only a major pain in the ass at the highest levels of play. And these are for the people who fucking no life 1 class, pour like 3,000 hours into Scout. And of course, yeah, in their hands, anything's gonna be good, right? We're talking about normal fucking casual play. You got fucking sentries and heavies and all this other shit that normally screws over a Scout's mobility, right? And in the existence of your usual chaotic sphere, it's not that amazing. It's still good, but it's not like, oh, it's just, it's just, you know, it's, in comparison to this. But still very good. So, yeah. There's the winger for you. It's more of a mobility tool rather than a damage tool, and that's how I've always seen this thing. And if you're going for mobility, use the Atomizer. You sacrifice effectively nothing for the extra mobility this thing grants you in comparison to this. So, moving on. Criticola. I don't know, man. I've always hated this weapon, this item, but it also sucks. It's just, yeah, it sucks dick to suddenly have to deal with a scout who's dealing, what, 20% more damage? It's mini crits now. Yeah, you deal mini crits on scout, which are very powerful. But then you take 33, you're marked for death for 5 seconds. Is it afterwards? So someone riddle me this. Are you marked for death as soon as you drink this, or does the mark for death happen after the effects wear off? So after the first shot, okay, that's why it's banned in competitive. Because you could suck this thing down, you could run in, you could deal like a 141 damage meat shot, something like that. Like what is max ramp up? 33%. Yeah, it's like a 141 damage because 110, a third of that is 30 damage. Yeah, it's a 141 damage meat shot to somebody. You could two-shot any of the effective classes in competitive with the second follow-up shot. And you're not punished until after you take that first shot, which is really fucking strong. And yeah, and then mid-range, it's 100 damage. So I totally understand why this would be banned in competitive, because it would just make the most powerful class in competitive that much more viable, in that he becomes the sudden pick class. Oh, I can more readily take down the med and, you know, sway the course of a game. Because yeah, sacrifice a scout for taking mini crit damage after dealing a high damage first shot and following up with a second one. If he's already going in that far anyway, he's probably going to die, so may as well have the extra damage at your disposal, right? So I totally understand why it's banned in competitive. But inside of the casual environment, it's not that good, because if you land that first shot on somebody, the entirety of the enemy team is immediately going to descend on you and fucking rail you because you're taking mini crits now, right? So in competitive, yeah, probably broken. In casual, not that good, because there's so many other variables and factors that lead to those mini crits being a far bigger detriment to the scout than they otherwise would be in a competitive game, right? So, yeah. And in casual, it's like, I honestly, I haven't used this thing in, oh my god, I actually can't remember the last time I've used this thing. This is easily one of my least used items in the game, hands down, because it's just not that appealing. Do I really just want to suddenly die in one shot to effectively anything, or do I want to use any other secondary and be far more effective with it? So, no, not big on this thing, honestly. Criticola with Shortstop is good at distance. It is interesting. I feel like if I don't know, man. Sacrificing your normal effective range as scout is, I feel like, too much of a price to pay for making an argument for using the Criticola. And yeah, when you're using the Shortstop, your effective range is a lot wider in comparison to using like any other Scattergun. But I'm still not big on the Criticola, man. Not big for it. So, this thing. Oh god, I hate the candy cane. I hate this is another one of the most, this is another extremely polarizing item in TF2. Even good scouts hate this thing, because its downside of 25% extra damage taken from blasts is horrific. You get one shot by a rocket. You get one shot by a pill. Splash damage from either of those things is going to knock you down to below 50% of your health. It is awful using this item. And the upside of getting a small health kit back on kill, I feel like the offset of getting a small health kit back on each kill versus taking a fuckload more damage against blast, which is one of Scout's main counters, are rockets, by the way. That's just, you just die so fucking quickly whenever you use this thing, and the upside is just not that good. At higher levels of play, yes, this thing becomes useful because you effectively never touch the ground and you become harder to hit. But then at lower levels of play, for people who are just like starting out or just don't play this game in any serious capacity, this thing sucks. You just get mowed down. Oh, it's horrible. It's so bad. Man. I really do hate melee items that make you take more damage for some kind of an upside. I despise the way damage penalties work, or not damage. I despise the way damage vulnerabilities work in this game. I really fucking hate them. It's such a punishing thing to have either a universal or a specific type of damage penalty on something that is just so... I hate it. Hate it. Hate this item. It sucks to play with. You get destroyed whenever you use it, and its upside is so very rarely realized that it's just like... The amount of damage you normally take in a casual game is not offset by the health kits you get back. Period. Right? And even if you're a good scout who's playing scout normally, you just die faster to the things that would normally kill you. So... But how would it be better than Sun on a stick? It's not. I would consider both of these on a similar level, right? If you're playing against any other class, that's not... listen, if you're not playing against a soldier or a demo, this thing is a direct upgrade. If there is a soldier or a demo on the enemy team, it's a direct downgrade, right? So, and the lovely thing about Scout is the Scout can better pick and choose fights, right? He can choose his targets more readily than any other class, but he basically just has to avoid demo or soldier, otherwise he dies in one shot to anything, right? And you know what, Aimbot? I'm more inclined to agree with that. I would say the Sun on a stick is just marginally, barely more useful than this thing, right? Because at least you have an on-demand resistance to fire and the gimmick of critting people who are on fire, instead of just dying in one shot to like the most common damage source in the game next to hit scan. Yeah, this is honestly like the second worst item for Scout. It's just... its upsides do not balance out its downsides. Even higher levels of play complain about this item being fucking awful. Scout's health pool already being the lowest in the game, him being the glass cannon, yeah, his mobility is meant to offset that, but the fact that Splash exists negates that. So it's just like, no, bad, horrible. Candy Cane was literally designed for medieval mode. Yeah, you can use it in medieval mode and be totally fine. But otherwise, it's so bad. So bad. Yeah, and also anyone can pick up the health kit too, so if you're playing with your team and you don't have health, like you just lost a bunch of fucking health, it's like, oh, they took my health kit, guess I'll die. Oh no, yeah, it's bad. I don't like it. No bueno. Am I a fan of war? You know what? I am a fan of war. I have a lot of fun with this thing. I'm gonna put it in like low B tier. I like the Fan of War because I like using it with a Force of Nature. I like running up on someone, slapping him in the fucking ass, and then blasting them with a Force of Nature, dude. It is so fucking fun to do that. Yes, you have to go out of your way to get within melee range to mark someone for death, but then you whip out any other primary and you just fucking go to town. You two-shot anything at close range whenever you're using the Fan of War. It is awesome. Love doing that shit. It's very much a risk versus reward weapon, and man, is it fun to use. I love parrying this thing with the Force of Nature mostly. Super fun. Fine with it being in B tier for the fun, but it still just sucks. Yeah. I'm leaving it in B tier. It's more fun, and it's the meta in MVM because you're marking giants for death. Yeah. And again, I'm sure people are gonna bitch and moan. It's like, why is the Fan of War better than this thing? Why is it better than the Boston Basher? Why is the Fan of War better than the Boston Basher? You could build Uber Charge with this. You could make people bleed. You make people bleed. It's the meta and competitive mode. You make people bleed with the Boston Basher. You like this more. You will only use this because it's the meta and competitive mode. Fuck you, this is more fun. I hate this thing. Again, why are you ever going for melee damage on Scout? You're only ever using this to build up Uber. Fuck you. This is more fun, has more use than this does when you're within melee range on somebody. More fun and casual. Fun and kind of useful, because if you, listen, your sacrifice is not in vain if you manage to smack someone with this, because they're marked for death for a long time. So if you fuck up and die, the rest of your team can follow up and kill the guy that you marked for death. So there's that too. Whereas if you fuck up with this, you hit yourself and then just die without any sort of benefit coming to you or your team. This, yeah, more benefit for yourself or for your team. This, you're juicing out uber faster, really only that useful in 6v6 or Highlander, but this, in casual, just, yeah, more fun. Yeah. Yeah, not for damage, they're for utility. Thank you. That's why this belongs here, but it's also fun. Moving on to Rap Assassin. You know what, man? The Rap Assassin for me is in the similar category as the Cleaver. To me, it's just a weaker Cleaver, right? The base damage is what, 15? It does full bleed damage. But man, having a projectile that you can chuck across the map that makes someone bleed, that you can follow up with either the Cleaver, you do Cleaver, Rap Assassin, or Rap Assassin Cleaver, and then follow up either of those with any primary weapon. Man, it's so fucking fun. It's great. And yeah, it's easier to hit because it's got a deeper arc, it's got a slower projectile speed, it has a fast recharge like the Cleaver does, so you can use these things pretty frequently, and you can stack bleed. You can stack bleed, right? You can stack bleed on both of these things, and man, is that good. Love the Rap Assassin. Really spices up Scout, and it actually makes one of his melee options a very good offensive option, right? Because you can juice out damage at a range. Very fun. Also, yeah, there's the bug and where on certain maps this doesn't work because of weird collisional issues. But aside from that, it's fun. I like using it. It's fucking sick. Yeah, and if you're just getting the kill with the Rap Assassin bauble is how you pronounce it. People across the pond call it a bauble. We call it an ornament. If you get a kill with the ornament, you get that fucking little kill in the kill feed thing, and someone just gets pelted for what, 10, 15 damage? Oh, that's so fucking funny. I love it's the same satisfaction of killing someone with the ball, except it's a fucking Christmas ornament. And appropriately, this thing does no melee damage, as it should, because again, once more, you're not going for melee damage on Scout, you're going for utility. So this thing makes you deal more damage than you normally would, because it gives the Scout a third ranged damage option, which is really fucking good. A third ranged damage option on a class like Scout, where all of his damage options are hit scan, is insanely good. So yeah, it's easy A tier, and it's a lot of fun to use, very effective, it's awesome. Also, yeah, and if you do actually manage to beat the shit out of someone with this thing and get a kill with just the melee swing, yeah, you can humiliate someone that way too, Jesta. I see that. Yep, this fucking fun. Love the Rap Assassin. If Scout's melees are for meme utility, wouldn't it make stock bat max D tier? No, I disagree. Because even the utilities on both of these things punish the Scout more or are not nearly as useful as having just normal melee damage in the off chance that you're within that melee range and you have to fucking whip it out and go to town on somebody. And the fun factor with this, you can meme more with this weapon and have more fun than either of these two. This is more useful than either of these things most of the time. That's why this is up here in C tier. These are just both shit. So, yeah. Okay. Now, we're moving on to the last Scout item, the Shortstop. And the Shortstop is easily one of my favorite items in TF2. I love the Shortstop to death. It is so fucking fun. You have to basically completely change how you play Scout. Instead of going for your normal burst damage, like you would with any of his other Scattergun options, this behaves more... it's hard to say what it behaves more like. It's somewhere in between a pistol and a minigun, because it's a steadier stream of damage in comparison to higher bursts of damage. And playing Scout with a steady stream of damage is tricky, right? Because normally you're timing your movements with each of your individual shots. Whereas with the Shortstop, it's a steady stream and you have to land consecutive shots on it in order for it to be very, very useful. But once you get used to, you know, keeping the beam or your crosshair on someone for an extended period of time so you have those consecutive shots landing on somebody, the damage on this thing and how effective this can be is really underrated. A lot of people seem to have kind of pushed themselves into this rut when it comes to playing a Scout. They feel like they can only ever use the better burst damage options. I'm putting Shortstop in A tier, by the way, because of what you can do with this thing. It's fun, man. It changes the Scout's effective range. All of the Scout's scattergun options are the most powerful at point blank to close-ish medium range. The Shortstop extends his effective range to medium/far range. You do more damage at far range than you do with any of the other scattergun options, because each of the individual pellets does more damage on the Shortstop than anything else. Because like each pellet does max 3 at fall off, whereas the Shortstop does like what? I don't remember exactly. Shortstop does how much per pellet? I gotta check. Yeah, it does 6 to 24 damage at far range. So you're doing, each pellet does twice the amount of damage as any scattergun pellet. So at medium to far range, you're always doing more damage. And, fun fact, we're going back to my little diagram here. Let me teach you something. Let me teach you something about the Shortstop, all right? So, let me just fucking, cancel that. Just get rid of all this. So, you may not know how the spread works on the Shortstop. So instead of a 3x3 grid, aside from the panic attack, this is the only other scatter/shotgun in the game that has a different bullet spread configuration. The bullet spread on the Shortstop is actually shaped like this. It's shaped in this weird T configuration like this. And each shot only has 4 pellets. And this center pellet, the 4th pellet, is 100% accurate all the time. So you already have a higher damage center pellet, and then these other 3 higher damage pellets like this. It's very good. But what's interesting about this is that I don't know if this is just from observation or if this is actually something that's in the game. It feels like that the spread on this has a much tighter cone than any other shotgun. It feels like when you have random bullet spread on with this thing, the spread isn't nearly as exaggerated as it is with any other scattergun or any other shotgun option. I don't know if that's actually true. This is just what I've been doing testing with random bullet spread. And whenever I've been using this thing, it feels like its spread variation is a lot more narrow than any other scattergun or shotgun option. Which means, if it's true, that it's actually buffed at medium to far range. So Scout's effective range is boosted, or rather I should say shifted, from like you have close, medium, far. Normal Scout is kind of right here. Shortstop Scout is around here. So you have to keep your distance, keep that steadier stream of damage on players, and then you're juicing out a lot of damage with the Shortstop rather than with stock. So your effective range goes to here with the Shortstop, and it's a lot of fun. You can juice out a decent amount of damage. It's pretty fucking fun. If you haven't tried out the Shortstop, highly recommend that you do. I am curious if it has some hidden stat of higher accuracy. I really want to test this now. I actually might go out of my way and just do that for shits and giggles, and see what happens as a result. Actually, I can do that right now. So I'll end off the tier list there. Shortstop is a lot of fun. I have the most fun. It's easily one of the most fun items I have with Scout. It's fun. I love using this thing. So that's the end of the tier list. If that's all you guys cared about, it's over now. Oh, also, I forgot the shove. Of course, the fucking shove. Ah, yes, the 1 damage shove that rarely comes in use. I almost never use it. I feel like it's not that useful. If you're already that close in range as Scout, just shoot the guy. You're gonna damage him, right? You're gonna be more effective just shooting the guy at that range anyway than just pushing him around. So, yeah, there's a reason why I forgot about it, in that it's not that good. The shove isn't awesome. How often have I gotten a shove kill? I think me and R were shoving each other around once. Just no, it was me, Aaron, and like a bunch of other people. We were just all in a server. We were just fucking shoving each other around to see how long it would take to kill someone with just shoving people away. So, and yeah, you're right. Shooting them probably does more knockback than the shove does. So it's more just like a stupid little meme gimmick strategy anyways. So, yeah. So, there you go. There's the scout tier list. That's a wrap. Let me hop into game real quick, and I just want to see. I want to see. I want to look at this spread real quick. I'm going to check this. I want to confirm this live, Nate. I want to show people. I'm going to show you this. It's unfortunate because you can't tell by what percentage amount the shortstop does have higher accuracy, which is a little bit annoying. So like here we have a stock scattergun. Do I have random bullet spread off? Let's keep. Oh, keep it on. Is it on? Yeah, it's on. All right, so there's stock. Let's get to a good position here. Let's go like. Yeah, we'll just do it here. That's probably a good. Should we keep ourselves in a fixed? Actually, no. We'll do it where we spawn. So, does it orient my spawn differently every time I do that? No, it keeps us in the same spot, so I don't have to worry about keeping us in the same position. Okay, so cool. Oh no, it does change me. Shit. Alright, so we want to be in the center of this square. Let's do stock scattergun first. Do about right here. Keep a mental image of this spread. Alright, mental image acquired. Resetting the pellets so they don't show up, so it's like this. Oh yeah, what the fuck? Oh yeah, it's a way tighter spread. Yep, I think that... Yeah, that more or less confirms that the shortstop has a much tighter spread when random bullet spread is on in comparison to any other scattergun or shotgun option. I'm curious as to by how much, though. Wonder by how much more it's accurate. Huh. It'd be tricky to figure out. Doing this sort of thing visually... I can do R decals 100, so what is that? R underscore decals... Is it R decals 100? Alright, so what is this? We'll do like... So we were in this square. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. 50% more accurate? I don't... I think it'd be pushing 50. It's pushing 50, but it's certainly more than 25%. It's definitely more accurate. But it's hard to say by how much. That's interesting to know. 33%? Somewhere between 25 and 50? Perhaps? Interesting that the wiki has no mention of the tighter spread. Surprised no one's pointed that out before. I've seen it floating around, but no one seems to have acknowledged that. Interesting. So, that, I guess, more or less confirms that the shortstop has tighter spread than any other shotgun or scattergun. Awesome. So yeah, that just buffs it. That just buffs this item even more at medium to far range, which is really good. So, see, what I could probably do is I could probably, I could probably do some, like, geometry, do like a simple area calculation, like, okay, this, I could like draw a square or a fucking, I can do a square or circle around the area where all the different decals are, and then I can figure out the area of the circle compared to this one and figure out like what the percentage area reduction is. I could do that, but that'd actually be an interesting thing to do, just like a short thing, who knows. But hey, that's cool. Shortstop's got a tighter spread, higher damage pellets, but instead of higher burst damage, you have a stream of damage. So, hey, there you go. We learned something today, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty fucking cool. Test the RBS off. Let's see. What was the fucking RBS command? Use fixed... Was it TF, use fixed weapon spread. So fixed weapon spread. Yeah, so let me figure out how we do this. We need to be at the same position. And if it were the same configuration, the T will have the same spread as the T in the 3x3 configuration. That's what we needed to do. So let's do this square here. So Scattergun looks like that. Okay, and then Shortstop. Oh shit, what square was I standing in? Shit, I'm gonna have to redo it because I forgot what square I was in. I'm in the furthest away. Alright, so let's quickly redo that. Oop, hello? Scattergun? Oh, I'm not in the right square, I knew that. Okay. So for this, we were right here. Yep. That is definitely a tighter spread. There you go. 100%. Random bullet spread on or off. The Shortstop has tighter spread than the Scattergun. There you go. Backscatter. I know the backscatter's... You know what's interesting about the backscatter? Is that when fixed bullet spread's off, or when fixed bullet spread's on, it's not nearly that bad. But when random bullet spread's on, it's horrific. So like the 20% increase in spread translates into this. That's pretty bad. Actually, but even then, even if it's fixed, it's not like horrific. That's still pretty bad though. Oof. In comparison to stock, man. Yeah, why would you ever use this thing? Oof. Yeah, that's gnarly. Nope. Not a fan. And then RBS on. You know, the spread's gonna be pretty wild. It's gonna be a lot wider than the fixed. Yeah. Let me go back to stock. Yeah, dude, that is... Am I in the right spot? They look the same. Random bullet spread on, there's not that much of a difference, but with fixed weapon spread on, that 20% really shines through. Interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So if you're playing on a Valve server, perhaps the random bullet spread helps you in some regard. But then when the random bullet spread decides to screw you over, it'll really screw you over. Because you have a wider cone in terms of the chance of spread in comparison to the tighter cone that is stock. Interesting. Very interesting. Also Cleaver. So yeah, there you go. I think that's a good stream, guys. That was good shit. That was fun. We did some testing.